The following program is made possible through funding from Duval County Schools.
Science and math are vital parts of modern society, and Duval County Public Schools is committed to providing its students with a world-class education to prepare them for tomorrow's high-tech jobs.
On today's Real School, we will go inside several of the district's top schools and meet the teachers and students that make our science and math programs a success.
Name the one country in the world where the majority...
The vocational value.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Miranda.
And I'm Seth Hedstrom, and welcome to Real School, the only television show that's dedicated to bringing you the best of Duval County Public Schools.
Now, let's get started with a look at two of the district's amazing science and math teachers.
The goals of the Math, Science, and Engineering Magnet Program is to motivate students to want to excel in the fields of math, science, and engineering. Their sciences are going to be focused on AP sciences, AP chemistry, biology, physics, math all the way up to AP calculus. So it's pretty intensive. They can really focus in and get an above average, definitely, education in the field that they choose. If they want to be a computer programmer and design video games, we have that class. We have a video game development class, and we have all the computer science classes that lead up to it, including AP computer science. So these kids are finding they're going to college, and on their transcript it says they took engineering in high school. BotBall is a competition for high schools and middle schools that students can learn about robotics and compete against each other. A sample mission may be to move colored balls from one place to another, or to rescue a character called Bot Guy, who is kind of the mascot for the BotBall competition. Your robot has to be able to start on time. It cannot go longer than 90 seconds. So we usually built in a shutdown routine that goes about 89.5 seconds to give us a little bit of leeway. So once the lights turn on, it starts. Once it turns off at 90 seconds, your robot has to stop. If it keeps going, again, you get disqualified. Completely autonomous. These robots make their own decisions, just like the Mars rovers would do. Basically NASA points their Mars rover at a rocket and says, go look at that rock. It doesn't tell it how to get there. So the robot's got to figure out how it gets there. It's got to react to its environment and make decisions, and our robots are exactly the same way. And we actually ended up taking third place in the Florida Regional, and we won the Judge's Choice for Best Engineering and Best Strategy. So that made us feel pretty good, going from one of the last teams to one of the top teams just in 1 year, a 1 year turnaround. You have some students that come in from middle school and they're taking like pre-calc, they're really high math, and you have other kids that come in and they're taking maybe remedial algebra, and so it's hard when you get to some of the upper level math concepts. I kind of have to stop a little bit sometimes and reteach, a concept maybe that the kids that are taking algebra may not have learned yet. So that's probably the toughest thing, is coordinating the class and coordinating the group. It motivates kids about math and science, and they can apply a lot of things that maybe they've learned in the classroom, and it's just problems on paper until you actually get to applying it to robots and say, all right, well, I actually have to apply geometry to figure out how far I am away from a certain obstacle. I can triangulate maybe and figure out where I have to go, or I can figure out an equation that tells me how fast I have to move my motors to cover a certain amount of distance in a certain amount of time. The most rewarding part is seeing these kids take something that they've thought up in their heads and actually bring it to life, and actually, they make a robot that does something and they compete, and winning's nice, but just going out there to compete is good too. I feel proud when my guys go out there.
How many of these squares are there inside this triangle? 3. Show it to me like this, and I'm going to come back in about 30 seconds. Show it to me and I want to see the 3. What we're doing in elementary school is laying a groundwork for future mathematicians, for students who will be powerful and successful in mathematics. So knowing that, I know how important it is to really get kids passionate about mathematics. We do things with manipulatives and ways to get them excited about learning, still focusing on the content. And that groundwork that we lay is so important for our students who are going to go on to middle and high school and be successful mathematicians. So I really believe that that's important for us to do in elementary school.
Put these two together.
Oh, okay, so you had 6, and I put those 2 together. What's that make?
7.
Well, what about these 2?
8.
So when they come in the first day, I think, okay, I've got 16, 20, 22 kids, whatever it is. How do I get this group of students to understand that very simple concept? I mean, after all, humans created mathematics, so I mean, it makes sense that there's a reason behind everything. How do I get these 9, 10-year-olds to understand that idea? Okay, Ron's conjecture here is that the area of that one triangle is 8 square units, and he's proved to me pretty well that if I put those 2 triangles together, I'll have 1 whole unit. These 2 triangles together, I'll have another whole unit. Then I can go ahead and count those 6 units. 6 and 2 makes 8 square units. I believe that all students come in with things that are much more important sometimes in their lives in school. And so when they come in with that, sometimes it's really hard to get through to them that what we're doing is going to make an impact in their lives later on. That you can break the cycle that you're part of. That you can be bigger and better than anything you've ever dreamed. And sometimes that's such a big idea for a 10-year-old to understand that it's hard for me to get through to them that what we're doing in class today will make a difference in their lives and will potentially change the outcome of their lives. How could you prove to me that there's the same amount over here as over here? Pretend like this is a cake now and I want this half. That idea of I'm completely stuck, I don't know where to go, but I'm going to try something. I believe that translates to real life, and not only real world mathematics, but the real world. As we as professionals now come in contact with things like that, we don't need that coach to say or that teacher to say, try this, try that. We know what to do, and so something as simple as today, that's preparing them for real life and being successful professionals in whatever they choose to do with their lives.
When we come back, we'll introduce you to 2 of the district's top science students.
At Duval County Public Schools, did you know? 30,000. That's the number of volunteers who donated their time, talent, and dedication to the Duval County Public Schools last year. These volunteers contributed over 600,000 hours. That's over 12 million in volunteer contributions. Duval County Public Schools, inspiring dreams that influence tomorrow.
Hi, my name's Denise Hall, and I'm the principal at Robert E. Lee High School, and this is my school. Robert E. Lee is an incredible place, both to work and to go to school. We're very fortunate that we're able to offer our students a large number of opportunities that other schools simply don't have. For example, we're the engineering and science magnet, and we have 2 Amitral labs like none other in the state of Florida. It gives our students the opportunity to take courses that could catapult them into such majors as engineering, architecture, put them in mentoring programs with other engineers. We also have an early college program. Students in the early college program, which this year is our 4th year and our first graduating class, those students will graduate not only with a high school degree, but also with an AA degree from Florida Community College. We also service our neighborhood students through math, science, and humanities learning communities, have a wide range of athletics, a wonderful band, and rich history.
Hillary Fush and Grant Howard are 2 students who exemplify excellence in Duval County Public Schools. Both have interests in science, one in marine science and the other in forensics. Here are their stories.
Well, when I first started getting into science, I really didn't like it in elementary school because mostly all it was read the book and fill in worksheets. I never liked that. I started liking it probably about 9th grade when we started doing labs, and then I really liked it last year when I was in AP Biology and we actually started doing really hands-on experience. I like it that I don't actually have to read the book the whole time. I don't really like reading the book and just writing down what I think. I like actually having an experiment and saying, if something did go wrong, it's not the book telling me how it went wrong, it's me having to actually go back through the experiment and figuring out what I did wrong. I like DNA analysis. It's just really interesting, it's cutting edge. I'm not doing an experiment that's been done 300 times before that's old and just rehashed.
You feel it? Really sensitive? Yeah. Don't push down hard. That's how fast you're going.
I got interested in forensics class by my AP biology class. I had that last year, and we went over a lot of the stuff that we're doing now. We went over blood typing and DNA, and I just found that really interesting. But I'm trying to help these students like I was doing today. I hope they're understanding that science isn't boring. It's not just all about facts. It's about hands-on experiences that actually do help people in the real world.
When you use standardized measurements, you don't say, it was a finger width.
All right.
That's some standard somehow. The kids, they were doing blood spatter analysis. They have to figure out the trajectory of where the blood came from. You also saw them doing bone measurements some. You saw them securing the crime scene with the crime scene tape. You saw them measuring it out and gathering the data for analysis.
Every time if someone squeezes, it's easier to get blood. So you're going to have to put your goggles on now, and you have to put that cover sheet on the floor.
I think Robert E. Lee High School has helped me for a career in science because we do offer a lot of science classes. We offer science electives, and at our school we go over a lot of hands-on stuff. It's not all about the book, it's more about seeing how it actually benefits the real world.
And you also want to measure the length of those drops, how much an average outspurt is from each one.
After I graduate, I hope to go to either UNF or UWF and major in biology. With that, I hope to either become a doctor or to actually teach biology in college.
As a little kid, I was always in love with dolphins and whales and things like that, and it just really started from there, a general curiosity about how things worked, and then I started learning about adaptations and how things change, and it's a personal curiosity of mine. The favorite part of science, marine science, and the things I do is finally answering the question at the end when I've been in a lab or researching something for hours, and I finally find the answer or I get the result, and it's not always what I'm looking for, but when I finally learn something new and I get the answer to my question. The most challenging part about marine science is probably coming up with a question that isn't already answered. There's obviously a lot that we don't know already, but something that I can do on my level as a high school student with my time constraints and monetary constraints and things like that. I have to find something that I can do within my restraints that I'm curious about and interested in. My project investigated different breeding habits of sea urchins and their compatibility with one another within one species. When I was researching, a lot of the experiments done in the field and things like that have dealt with various species and hybrids and things like that of sea urchins, because hybrids are fairly popular, and I wanted to look and investigate one species and how they interacted together. I actually injected them with potassium chloride to get them to expel their eggs in the sperm, and this is a picture right here of the injection. These three pictures are under a microscope. These are of the eggs after fertilization, and you can see the comparison between fertilized eggs and non-fertilized eggs. This picture here is under the microscope. It's of a single egg, and all this kind of the static around it are sperm, and it's already been fertilized. You can see the ring around it, and that shows fertilization. I found that sea urchins within one species, they have different breeding compatibilities with various sea urchins. The fertility rates with one pair might be different than another. A lot of kids are interested in things, but they don't know how to get into it. They don't know how to have fun with it. And that's really what I've done. I've taken something I've wanted to know, and I've made a project out of it, and I've learned something. And I think it's really important for kids to know that they can, even in high school, do things like this and learn on their own outside of school. It's a challenging workload at Paxson, and I've learned to balance it, my obligations, with extracurricular things and extra things like science projects and things like that. And it's really gotten me prepared how to go about investigating things and how I formulate a question and then find the answer to it. I hope to study marine biology in college after high school, and definitely go into that in field work.
When we come back, a look at two of the district's amazing science programs that are literally out of this world.
At Duval County Public Schools, did you know? 14,000. That's the number of employees in the Duval County Public School system. And nearly 8,000 of those are teachers, while only 670 are administrators. Duval County Public Schools, inspiring dreams that influence tomorrow.
The space program is vital to Florida's economy and our nation's future. Here's a look at two of the ways the district uses the space program to get its students excited about math and science.
Kelly will be going on board the landing vehicle, the USS Challenger. Stand by. Stand by, Captain Kelly going on board.
We were actually flying a mission to the moon. This is one of the new initiatives from the Bush administration, is to return to the moon and get ourselves a colony going up there. And some of the kids were experiencing what it might be like once we do get that colony established.
We know if it goes into CR1 or CR2. Are you there?
We pretty much simulate between the mission control and the space lab different missions that real astronauts perform, like going to the moon and studying the Earth. And we pretty much simulate a catastrophe that happened, and we have to fix that catastrophe before time ends.
The missions that they do are so, they really are designed very well for the kids, and yet they really capture the essence of what the activity on board both the station as well as what's going on in the Mission Control Center. I think they're extremely well designed.
Working together is a really big thing at Challenger, is learning to work together and be able to read the books and know what you're doing without, asking questions is fine, but when you read the book, it's really easy.
I put it in the bucket. No, you bring it to the guy that reads your book right here. That's not the book. It says, use the robot arm to build your egg.
The whole facility is all about math, science, technology, and engineering. And during this facility, we're using mathematics to calculate triangulation of where the spacecraft is as it heads over to the moon. We're using chemistry over at life support to keep track of the pH values of the water. We're using engineering in the probe room to put together a new Highland probe to be launched to the surface to tell us what is a good landing site.
Well, with the robots, they are testing radiation levels. They are testing how heavy different liquids are to see if they match up to different things. And if one thing is maybe too heavy, then there might be a possibility that it can contain explosive material. I think this might help us in science and math classes because it'll get us to think more logically, and in math you need to think very logically to solve word problems, and it'll teach us how to do scientific things like studying rocks will help us in science, and studying water will help us in science as well.
America is not graduating nearly enough engineers. In China, depending on who you listen to, they're graduating 300,000 a year. We're graduating 60,000. Lockheed Martin alone, of our 140,000 employees, about 100,000 are eligible for retirement in the next 10 years. How are we going to fill that pipeline just for Lockheed Martin? Much less thinking about all of the companies out there. Hopefully this is one of the places where we'll get that inspiration to the kids to say, I could do that.
And this could get them interested in being astronauts or going to the moon, or shoot, by the time they get out there, they could be going to Mars, living on Mars.
Answer the questions in your composition notebook. Here's the 3 questions while I get everybody settled in. How does gravity make your life easier or harder? And I want you to answer both. How does it make it easier? How does it make it harder? And how does the study of gravity on Earth help you better understand the relationships in the universe, which is kind of summarizing what we've done all week. Well, the Zero-G program is actually an opportunity for, in what we were involved with, is educators to be able to experience weightlessness and then be able to take simple things we do in the classroom and perhaps do some experiments with it and bring it back to our schools and be able to explain that value to them.
I've done a lot of things in traveling around the world, and I was out doing another research project this summer with NOAA, but all those things can be repeated in other ways. Doing the zero-G thing is something that I can say, honestly, unless they ask me to go again, there's nothing like it. It was just amazing. The first day of school, I wore the little flight suit and put the pictures up on the overhead for the kids as they walked in. It was kind of a hook to get them excited about science, because by 9th grade, most kids don't really understand or enjoy science anymore. So when they saw their goofy teacher up there in his flight suit acting like an idiot, it kind of excited them, and now they're all saying, when can we do it? Is there a way that we can do it as students? And I have to kind of encourage them to continue as scientists, as little mini scientists in the classroom, to get to the point where they could do that on their own as part of scientific research with the university or with NASA in the future.
It's not going there. Are you learning something? Yeah, cool. Many times their experience to this point has not been particularly hands-on. I have many students walking in the door saying, I don't like science. So if I can engage them in hands-on activities and visuals and communicating, and the other piece was very good. We had multiple scientists here today.
I think it'll go down. Why? Because what pulls something down? Gravity.
This class does make me more interested in science because we get hands-on activities. We learn from not just in books, we learn hands-on with experiments and everything.
I try to encourage the kids to think scientifically in every aspect of their lives, from the iPods that they have that they can fit in their little pocket, and the cell phones, and all these things that are getting smaller and smaller and better. It's because people get excited about science and say, what can I do to make this world this much better place, scientifically speaking? So just being an example to them of hey, this is real, guys, you can go out there and do it yourself.
The coolest part of today's class was learning your weight on different planets, because I thought you would get heavier on all the planets except for you get actually later on some, and then some you get heavier. Because it just depends on the planet.
I hope they'll take away the fact that science is interconnected, that things that we do in the classroom are really connected to things that are being done someplace else, like space as an example. And then why? And be able to answer those questions as to why. And then take the experience that we had and say, okay, gravity, what exactly does that mean to us? How important is that understanding of gravity? Because I think kids tend to just breeze over the things we take for granted.
This is the first time I've had a chance to teach with my mother. We were at the same school at Ed White for 2 years, and I avoided collaboration with her because she was the mother figure. But I've learned so much from her, and she's an amazing teacher. So getting the chance to come in here and share our experience with her kids was amazing for me, because I get to see what she does in the classroom. She tells me all these stories, and we both got to come together and excite the kids together. So it was kind of like, I guess, as me being a guest, the kids were looking forward to having something new. And being able to work with my mother as a professional is very interesting and challenging at times, but interesting.
I think that students need to start looking at their future and start thinking about possibilities of future. And the more that we can show them some things in the future, the more that maybe at this level they can start thinking, I can.
Robert E. Lee High School speaks out when we come back.
At Duval County Public Schools, did you know? 3,000. That's the number of students enrolled in Duval County Public Schools who speak English as a second language. And there are over 80 different languages spoken, including Spanish, Arabic, and Vietnamese. Duval County Public Schools, inspiring dreams that influence tomorrow.
And now for our question of the month. Why are math and science important in education?
Math and science is important in education because most of the institutions and universities that students will end up attending from high school mostly have the agenda of math and science as a head major at their schools, and also future jobs, most successful future jobs that students end up running into have also math and science heads. So it's great to have math and science as an agenda in high school.
Math and science are important because science, it teaches you how the world and the universe works, and it's important to understand. And math, you're going to use it in everyday life, so you need to know how it works and how to do it.
Math and science is important because in science you are able to use and get first-hand experience on how the world works. Math is also important because you use it in your everyday life, like when you get older, your finances and taxes, and you basically use math and science in colleges and in your life.
Math and science educationally are important to help students structure their lives within goals and also college purposes. You use science in the form of making sure that you can do this and that among different courses. Math, on the other hand, helps you juggle time, reference, and also the structure of your courses. So I would say, although math and science curriculum-wise is very important in stretching the mind, it also helps you career goal-wise.
Science and math are important in education because in math you'll need it for like engineering purposes, which is really good for magnet programs. And science just is good because it gives you a better understanding of how the world works.
To learn more about the Duval County Public School System, check us out online at educationcentral.org. Until next time, I'm Chelsea Miranda.
And I'm Seth Hedstrom. And thanks for watching Real School.
The preceding program was made possible through funding from Duval County Schools.